Hey everyone, this is Max at MaxCTCG. Thanks for joining me in another video. So in this video, we're going to be looking at the new Trickstar support in action with some combo videos, as well as the deck template I have, and kind of discussing the deck a little bit and some pros and cons and where I'm thinking the deck might be at when the cards are released in the TCG. But what we'll do is we'll just jump into kind of the more kind of crazy combos that kind of give you the most out of the deck. And then we'll maybe talk about maybe some more conservative ones that play around cards like Nibiru and Droll and kind of discuss that more too. What I'm going to do is we're going to start with Light Stage here. Light Stage is going to be able to search as Cantina normal summon. That will get us our hoodie. Now here you can start with either Light Stage or Cantina. They both search each other in this instance, and this is kind of one of the weaknesses to Droll, is that you're just searching into searching into searching. So that's going to be something you have to consider when playing this deck and seeing how popular Droll is. From here, we're going to link off the Cantina into the Colchica, and then what we're going to do is summon out the hoodie, and then hoodie is going to link into the bloom. Now doing this line with summoning so many extra monsters, you're already at 4 summons, which does make you weak to Nibiru, which does hurt. So that's something to keep in mind with kind of doing these lines. What I'm going to do is now use Hoodie's effect to search Trickstar Fusion because it was sent to grave for a link summon. Then what we can do is we're going to use Diffusion to send these 2 cards to the grave to be able to summon Dramatis, the new fusion monster that's coming out in the OCG. And then what we're going to do is use Dramatis' effect on summon to add a card to hand, and that could be any Trickstar card with a different name from the cards we control and in our grave. And then we're going to search Trickstar Fez, a really nice way to get multiple tokens onto the field and can be even a 1-card play in and of itself. It does lock you into Trickstar monsters, so you're not going to be able to go into other plays, but for the most part, our deck is mostly Trickstar monsters in the extra deck. We're going to use Fez, summon 2 monsters. From here, I'm going to link both of these away into Devardis. This can be a nice way to burn your opponent in time, so that way you can be ahead just by summoning this monster. It'll deal 200, and then the field spell will deal another 200. Then we'll link both of these away into Trickstar Noble Angel, and then on summon, we can search a blue tier card. We're going to search the Maiden of Blue. We're going to use Diffusion to banish itself to get Cantina back to hand. That's going to give us follow-up. Trickstar Noble Angel that can still summon back the Dramatis, which will boost its attack, making it harder to beat over. And then we're going to have the Maiden of Blue Tears as well to pair with the Trickstar Noble Angel. So the nice thing is that this trap card is while you control a link monster, target one of those monsters, destroy it, and if you do, inflict damage equal to half its original attack. And this card has an effect that if effect damage is inflicted, you can target one face-up card on the field and destroy it. So these are kind of the 2 main interaction points that you have with the deck. You're going to have beat sticks here, with this being the strongest at 3000, and then you're just going to have the pop and pop. Now it'd be nice if we had a little bit more of some more plays that we could potentially pull off, like better fusions to go into that had more interruptive approaches. This card also does have an interruptive effect that if effect damage is inflicted, you can target a face-up card on the field and change its attack to 0. It's not completely useless. It does make it harder for your opponent to beat over your cards and keeping your Trickstar Noble Angel safe, but it's still not the best effect. It would be nice to have like an on-summon negate or just something else to give a little bit more boost to the deck. And then this combo, I'm going to show another way that you can kind of set up a burn win con as well if you want to do a little bit more damage. So I'm going to start off with Trickstar Light Stage into Cantina. Cantina is going to summon, search Hoodie, link away into Colchica, and then summon Hoodie. Hoodie links away into Bloom. Hoodie searches to Diffusion. Diffusion activates. We'll fuse with those. We'll get Dramatis. Then we'll go into Fez. Fez will get our 2 monsters here. And then from here, we're going to go into Trickstar Noble Angel. Trickstar Noble Angel will then summon out the blue tier, or search blue tiers from our deck to our hand. Then we can bring back another monster. We'll bring back the Hoodie. Then from here, we can link all of these away into Bella Madonna. So this card has an effect that while it's link summoned, and then if this card points to no monsters, you can inflict 200 damage to your opponent for each Trickstar monster in your graveyard with a different name. So this makes it so that way it's unaffected by activated card effects, so they can't just like imperm this to negate it as long as there's nothing here. You can activate this effect, burn for 1200, and then we'll also get the Trickstar Light Stage to trigger. That'll burn for another 200. And then we can use Diffusion and Grave, banish it to get Cantina back to hand. So the one thing I don't necessarily like about this line is it does do more burn damage, so that could be helpful maybe in a certain situation. And I do think this card's decent and worth playing. But what I don't like is that we don't get the Maiden of Blue ears combined with the Trickstar Noble Angel for more interruption. We just have 1 pop. off a special summon. So that's why I kind of like the other line more. It does less damage, but if you need to burn in time, you can, and then you still have better interruption. But I did want to show this as an option. All right, so the next combo I'm going to show you guys is a anti-Nibiru combo. The main thing you want to think about is like, when thinking through the deck, what are my main interruptions? And the main thing is the Noble Angel searching the trap card. So that's the main thing you want to focus on. And part of the problem is when you're doing the other combos, you're going into so many of the link ones that by the time you get to the Noble Angel, you'll get nibbed and lose part of your interruption. So the nice thing is, you can do that, and just sometimes it means just playing a few less cards. So the nice thing with this is Trickstar Fez gives you 2 Trickstar tokens, which you can then use to go into the Noble Angel under 5 summons. So you use Trickstar Fez, get the 2 tokens. We'll link one of them away into the Colchica, and then we'll link away the token and the Colchica into Noble Angel. So now that is summon 1 and 2 off the tokens, 3 off the Colchica, and the 4th summon is Noble Angel. So now this will get us to search our blue tiers, and that was our only search for the turn as well. So the nice thing is that this line was actually able to play through Nibiru and play through Droll. And we still have our 2 pops plus 4 cards in hand. Now this can be kind of tricky because if you're using cards like Candina or Light Stage, you're gonna run into getting drolled, so that's gonna be an issue. But there are ways you can potentially play through it, and you just kind of got to think about, is this card worth playing around right now? Is it better to try to get to my disruption? Because the nice thing with the Diffusion line is that Diffusion does give you follow-up as well with getting Cantina back to hand, so it's kind of the trade-off you're playing. Another interesting line I wanted to kind of show, if you do open up any Trickstar monster and Hoodie, you can do the same type of line with the Trickstar Fez that we set up, but you actually get to get 2 searches because you can chain block your searches as well as get the searches in the same chain. So if they droll you still get everything done before that point. What we'll do is we're just going to normal summon our Trickstar monster, link into Colchica, so that way we can summon out the Hoodie. Hoodie will summon itself out, that'll be summon 3. And instead of like the other combos where we went into Bloom to get the fusion to then fusion summon, what we're going to do is just link both of these away into Noble Angel. Now that's going to get both of our triggers to happen. So Noble Angel is going to trigger, and so is the Trickstar Hoodie Engrave. Now I'm going to do Noble Angel as Chainlink 1, Hoodie as Chainlink 2, because it's just not really worth losing the trap interaction. I'd much rather just, if anything's going to get Ash, I'd rather it be the Hoodie Engrave. So Hoodie in this case is going to get Diffusion, and it's going to get blue tiers. Now I don't necessarily know if I think this card's worth running, because there's not really that great of cards to be able to play Link or Fusion wise on your opponent's turn that you can actually do anything to kind of disrupt them. It's just going to get you more resources. What we can do here is we can set both of our cards, and then our opponent can play, they can go into one of their cards, summon out, and then what we're going to do is we want to wait for them to have 2 cards on the field to be able to pop to get the most out of our interactions. And so we kind of let them get to 2 monsters. Then from here, we'll activate the blue tiers on the special summon Hoodie. We'll destroy that, burn them for 300, trigger Noble Angel to destroy the link. And then from here, and use Diffusion, we're going to banish the Hoodie and the Licorice. That's going to then get Dramantis. And one thing that's nice with the way Dramantis works is that when it's fusion summoned, you can add a Trickstar card from deck to your hand with a different name from the cards you control and in your grave. And the nice thing is that by banishing the cards in grave, you could technically add any of these cards to your hand for follow-up, which can be nice. So you can actually add like a Licorice if you want to be able to summon that by returning another Trickstar to hand or something. In this case, we're going to get Curlbane because it's going to make it a little bit easier to kind of keep our monsters safe from being beat over. And then what we're going to do is use the Diffusion. You can banish this card from our grave, target a Trickstar you control. This turn, your opponent's monsters cannot target or attacks except that monster while it's face up on the field. So the nice thing is that this lock kind of makes it so that way it's going to be really hard for your opponent to actually beat over your Noble Angel because they have to attack Noble Angel. And then Trickstar Curlbane has an effect during the damage step. When your Trickstar monster battles your opponent's monster, you can send this card from your hand to the grave. That's the cost. And that monster you control gains attack equal to its original attack to the end of this turn. So it's going to go up to 5,000 attack. That's kind of something you can pull off with the Diffusion. I don't think it's that great and probably worth running, but is something to consider thinking about if you want to try it out in the deck. And this is kind of the best combo I could think of outside of searching some follow-up. And then the last thing I wanted to show was a FTK I saw in a duel, just to kind of show how this works out. I don't think this is a thing that's easy to pull off by any means. I do think the idea of it's interesting in terms of thinking about, the way the deck plays and how much burn damage it does and how that really can chip away at your opponent to seal duels, which is pretty cool. So we're going to start with Trickstar Fez. That's going to get us 2 Trickstar tokens. And then we're going to activate Light Stage. Light Stage is going to get us a extra Licorice. From here, we're going to link into Trickstar Holy Angel. So this is where you're going to do most of your burn damage. It says each time a Trickstar monster is normal or special summoned to a zone this card points to, inflict 200 damage to your opponent. So this is going to do a lot of damage. And then Trickstar monsters this card's point to cannot be destroyed by Valor card effect. If your opponent takes damage by a Trickstar monster's effect, this gains attack equal to the damage they took. So this can get this thing pretty big as well to do a lot of damage if you're attacking going second. And then Trickstar Light Stage is going to be the big thing for getting that extra 200 burn on top of the 200 from this to constantly chip away at your opponent's life points to pull off the FTK. I'm going to do normal summon Candina. That's going to trigger both effects to burn. It's going to be a mandatory effect to constantly gain attack. And then Candina is going to search Reincarnation. Now we're purposely searching this because we're going to use an effect to discard it to the grave and then use the banish to resummon. Then we're going to use Licorice and then use our second Licorice so they can both target the same Candina. The way the effect is worded, it says that you can reveal this card in your hand, target one Trickstar monster you control, except Licorice, special summon this card, and if you do, return that target to the hand. So you're going to be special summoning this card and trying to complete the effect as far as possible. One of the Licorice will return the card to the hand, and the other one won't have a target to return, but both summons will be fine and they'll both be on the field. I'm going to summon one to the zone the Holy Angel points to, and another to a different zone. So we don't necessarily want to summon both to this zone, because then we're going to clog up our zones, and we want to have more zones to play into to keep burning. If we summon both here, we're going to have to get rid of one of our Licorice, and we won't be able to deal enough damage because we're going to rely on burning our opponent now off the draws as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to activate Hoodie's effect in hand to special summon since we control the Holy Angel. That's going to burn, gain attack, and then from here we're going to go into Bloom. Bloom is actually nice because we can burn our opponent by forcing them to draw a card. This is very risky because you can force them into drawing hand traps to interrupt your plays, but we will make them draw a card and we'll also burn them for the summon. We're doing a lot of damage here, and then from here we'll be able to search our Diffusion, gain a lot more attack. We'll activate Diffusion. We're going to fusion with the Bloom and the Candina we brought back to hand. That's going to get our Dramantis. Dramantis is going to summon to the Holy Angel to burn again. Now we're going to have our triggers. It's going to trigger to gain attack. This is going to trigger to add Corobane. Again, another just special summon that we can utilize. We're going to special summon the Corobane, link away Corobane and the Dramantis. That's going to get us into Crimson Heart. Again, we're mainly just trying to summon as many Trickstars as possible into the Holy Angel zones to keep burning. We're going to get our burn damage in, gain attack, and then from here we're going to use the Crimson Hearts effect. This is going to let us discard one card, and when we're discarding the Trickstar Reincarnation to be able to a special summon from grave. And then this is going to let us both draw one card. If your life points are 2,000 higher than your opponent's, we get to draw two. So we're forcing our opponents to draw one, and we get to draw two for follow-up. In this case, we drew 2 extra light stages, but these would just be 2 of extra any other card to keep extending out or have defensive options. They're going to get burned by the Licorice for all the draws. We're going to have the Holy Angel bring more attack. And then from here, we're going to link away the Crimson Heart and one of the Licorices to go into Noble Angel and burn our opponent on summon, Noble Angel's effect on summon, Holy Angel to gain on summon. We're going to add Angel of Blue Tears. Now, this is nice because you can proactively use this to burn your opponent on your turn, or you can use it as somewhat of a searchable kind of board breaker-esque card to an extent, going second as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Reincarnation, banish it to summon another monster. We want to summon a level 3 or lower Trickstar monster, so that way we can link it away for Bloom. Again, we're burning on the summon of Hoodie, link into Bloom, burn again. Use Bloom's effect again on summon, and that'll make them draw, burning off the Licorice. And then we're going to use the Blue Angel to burn off all the cards they drew in hand. We're going to target our own Bloom because we don't need to even worry about its negation. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to link away the Bloom and the Licorice, and we're going to go into the Modonna. We're going to get a burn off the Modonna, gain some more attack. We can add the Candina back to hand for follow-up, and then we get to use the Modonna to burn for the rest of the life points. So that is the kind of FTK that you can pull off with the deck. Again, it's not that I think the FTK is likely to pull off, but I just want to show that it's actually really easy to do a ton of damage. With this deck, you can make this card really strong. Now, this is different if you're playing through Interruption and other cards. You are playing a lot of hand traps, so it is definitely possible to get to a simplified game state, summon a bunch of monsters, burn your opponent, and just kind of kill them with a big Holy Angel. So that's something to consider as maybe a potential win con for the deck. But the one thing that's really scary is this type of combo, again, is going to lose to a ton of hand traps. All right, so now what we're going to do is just look at the kind of deck template I have set up to kind of help you guys get a starting off point for the deck. So the main thing I want to focus on is consistency and being able to kind of make plays. The deck doesn't have a very high ceiling in terms of what it can do. It's kind of mid-rangey, but unfortunately some of these mid-rangey cards kind of lose to cards like Droll, Trickstar Light Stage, and Candina, which search for searching cards. So that's kind of a concern. and the deck doesn't do very much, but again, the ability to be able to burn, to play a lot of hand traps, I do think there is potential for this deck to be rogue with the new support. So what we do is just kind of run through all the cards. We have 3 Trickstar Light Stage, 1 Terraforming, 3 Cantina, 3 Trickstar Fez, 3 Pot of Prosperity, 3 Trickstar Hoodie, 3 Trickstar Licorice, 1 Coral Bane, 1 Lilybell, 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Infinite Impermanence, 3 Effect Killer, 3 Nibiru, and 3 Droll. I'm playing 1 Trickstar Reincarnation, 1 Maiden and Blue Tears, 1 Trickstar Fusion, and 1 Angel with Blue Tears. For the extra deck, I'm playing 2 Trickstar Bloom. This is, you need at least 2 for the FTK to kind of pull off. So in terms of trying to get burn damage over time, I think it's useful to play 2. 2 Trickstar Kochika, you get the burn effect in Grave. I don't think you need 3. I think 2 is fine as well. Then we have a Trickstar Bella Madonna, 2 Trickstar Noble Angel, 1 Trickstar Evardis. Again, this is your easy burn in WinCon outside of using Bloom to make your opponent draw a card as well. And then you have 1 Trickstar Crimson Heart, 1 Trickstar Holy Angel, 1 Trickstar Delphendium. I think this could be nice when trying to recur some of your banished cards, Reincarnation and other stuff in like later turns, plus making this card pretty big to be able to kind of do damage while attacking. And you have the 1 Trickstar Band Dramantis. I don't think you really need more than 1, but you could play 2. For a grindier setup. And then for non-Trickstar cards, we are playing 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Goddess, and 1 Typhon. I think with Fez and the way the deck works, I don't think there's a lot of extra cards to go into. I didn't really find myself wanting to go into IP very much because it still just plays into Nib as well. So I think the extra deck having a lot of Trickstar cards is fine, and a few good generic staple ones as well to consider. Again, Goddess is pretty solid because you can easily special summon a lot, so it could be a way to remove pesky monsters, which I think could be useful for the Trickstar strategy. And then cards you consider playing, we have Trickstar Diffusion, the trap card. Again, I think the issue with this card is that there's just nothing to go into that gives you interruption on your opponent's turn when it's summoned. It's just really cards that search, which is the biggest issue with this card. And then you have the other Trickstar stages that I think you could also consider playing as well. Another thing that I think may be questionable is the Trickstar Reincarnation as a one-of and the Angel with Blue Tears. I think you could potentially just stick to Maiden with Blue Tears or Angel with Blue Tears. I think this card's a little bit better going second, because you could use it to negate one of your opponent's effects, but you would then take the damage versus targeting your card to make your opponent take the damage. That's something to consider. I think you could potentially play all these. You're still fitting 15 hand traps, so I think it could be fine just to use these as non-engine. I think Reincarnation, I think, makes sense for when the deck was played before, when the format was a little bit slower. When it was played, I think back in like 2018-19. I just don't think you really need to play more than 1. It's a searchable card. You can technically recur it back with Infinium after you banish it, and it doesn't do anything for you going second, which is why I don't really want to be clogged up on it, even though it is a good card. And the likelihood of you pulling off the Droll, Lockbird, and Reincarnation kind of hand loop is pretty low. If you're going first, I could see maybe setting into more of it if you really want to draw into it. So that might be something to consider doing as well. I think one kind of cool gimmicky thing you might be able to do with the Angel Blue Tears, which is interesting, is how we use the Crimson Heart to discard the Reincarnation to kind of go for that FTK. One thing you might be able to do is you can actually discard the Blue Tears you search off like Cantina, and then you could use this effect. Effect damage is inflicted. You can banish this card from your grave, set one normal trap from your hand or deck, and if it's set from the hand, you can activate this turn. So I think there could be something to maybe using this as a way, maybe into like game 2 or 3 for going first. Maybe you search this card, discard it, and then set like a blowout card, different dimension ground, the Black Goat Laughs, dimensional barrier. You can actually set these. Now you can't use both effects in one turn, so that's why you need a way to reliably get to the grave, and I think that would be using the Crimson Heart to discard it, and then set one of your traps. You can also set the Reincarnation as well if you have the Droll and Lockbird in hand, but then at that point you can also just search the Reincarnation. So overall, I think the deck's pretty solid. I think this is a good template to get started and play with. But again, I think kind of the issues is the lack of ceiling that the deck has, and some of the issues it has playing into like Droll and Nibiru if you're trying to go for the bigger lines using like Diffusion for the Cantina follow-up and everything else. Again, I think a solid road deck for when these cards are released. If you have any questions or any thoughts, leave them in the comments below. I'll always try to get to them. And I'm curious what you guys think of the new support and the combos. I'll see you guys in the next video.